Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at. I have been running to get the stream set up. I just landed. Let me make sure it's all set. I just landed a few minutes ago, about an hour ago, actually, but it takes that long to get from the airport up here to the BitLab studios. I'm back in Atlanta. So we've got a lot to talk about today. Sorry for the slightly late start. We're trying to start every day at 10 o'clock now, but my flight landed at 8:30. So here we are. Welcome to the show. My name is Kelly Kellam, and I just appreciate y'all being here. What a weekend. What a crazy weekend. Let me go ahead and adjust my screen here so I can see the chat. Let me know. Make sure that the audio, video, everything's working good. I just had to readjust absolutely everything on my end to make sure this was going good. So shout out to all the mods. Shout out to everybody that's here early. Crimson Caravan Company, Alex Green, my boy, Alexandra G, King Peasant, Mellow Crypto, King Karen Swigart Harris. How do you all feel about what happened today? How do you feel about what was going on in the markets? I mean, it felt like at one moment, it was going to be the end of the entire world financially with the banks collapsing, and then the next moment, the Fed comes in to save the day, fixing the thing that they broke themselves. Right? It's a little crazy how that happens. So, not really sure what to make of that, other than all we can do every day is look at the charts. We can read what's going on. We can use the data, the technical analysis, the fundamental analysis, and awareness of what's happening in the news in conjunction with these other forms of technical and fundamental analysis so that we can navigate this in a healthy way. I do want to caution whatever your bias is, whether you are very bullish or very bearish, the market is in absolute ultimate chop right now because of the uncertainty of what's happening currently with what's happening financially with the banks. I know, I was, in the Uber on the way here from the airport, just really trying to catch up on everything, because I was at the airport this morning at 5 a.m. And so I was trying to make sure I was up to, basically currents on everything that's going on within all the updates that's going on. And the first thing I see when I land is that First Republic Bank opened 67% down. This is, for all intents and purposes, Bitcoin was made, it was born out of this type of situation as the banking collapse and the housing collapse of the markets in 2008. So there's something very important to be noted right now, that Bitcoin is basically putting to the ultimate test, because this is the reason it was created, to give financial sovereignty, to give financial freedom, to be agnostic from the government fiat systems of these people that don't know how to manage money. I don't know why they're in charge of managing our money when they're not able to keep a balanced book. Well, Bitcoin is here for that. Of course, we have an entire crypto ecosystem now. So let's just go ahead and get into this. Shout out, I see Matt C's in the house as well. Everybody, give it up for yourselves being here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that bell. Let me know that you're in the house. Let me know you're liking the content. Let me know that we are here. We are a community. Whether this is your first time, your last time, your only time, I'm just happy you're here with the BitLab daily stream, and we're building a great community. So I will apologize in advance if we do have any sort of issues with the show flow in terms of the screen stuff. I just set up. I was plugging things in as I was going live, and it's an entirely different setup here than it is at my house. So we're going to go through this together. You're going to see what I do when I come to my computer desk. When I come to my computer in the morning, when I'm trying to figure out what the day's about, what's going on within the markets. Because I was setting up, I didn't even have time to set up all of the stuff, by tabs and all the things that I normally would. So we're going to do this together. All righty, let's go ahead and jump right into this. And again, if this is your first time, my name is Kelly Kellam. It's my honor to be here hosting the show, the daily show here at BitLab Academy. And it's all about empowerment. It's all about encouragement. And it's all about growing together, bridging that gap from beginner to pro, whether you just started or whether you've been here for years. I guarantee you're going to learn something here. And this is all about growth together. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the charts. In special news, I will say that we had A chart that I had been working on for about 2 years is now a featured chart. It's within the looknode.com. And I think there's a free ability for you to be able to see and utilize this chart. If you go to Looknode and come to cycle valuation, come down here to Bitcoin trend fib opportunity zones, the TFOS, essentially, this is utilizes the realized price, and we can actually show you what it looks like with all of the bands turned on. Essentially, what it is it uses the realized price and does fib bands, fib multiples based on the realized price, both above and below, and gives you a good idea of where the good buy and sell opportunity zones are, if we're undervalued or overvalued. And you can see you can also see the long-term holder realized price and the short-term holder realized price, and it's just a very useful chart. And if you want to learn more about this, I'm going to be doing a whole video on this later. There's a bunch of information right down here in the description. So that's a big old zoom in. So what we're going to do is I went through this weekend and I was sharing a lot of stuff from a lot of the things that I was seeing. Let me know if everything's still looking good, sounding good on the stream. Just a little anxious because of all the completely huge setup I had to do this morning. Resetting up all this, and I have a different screen and everything now as well. So what I want to just go through is some of the things that we were seeing on this chart. So what we can see here, I got a little bit of allergies here in Georgia. There was a lot of stuff that was going on. Okay, Signature Bank all of a sudden getting closed. I'm still not entirely sure why that was, shut down, because it didn't seem like there was any massive issues going on there. Seems more like, as some people have been calling it, Operation Choke Point. And I'm going to make sure my Discord is open, which I don't think it is, in case my mods need to let me know anything. No thanks. Live stream. Okay. So here we go. Back to the show. Okay. So Signature Bank, which a lot of different exchanges, Coinbase, Gemini, I believe. There's a list of some of the major banks out there, exchanges out there, switched from using Silvergate to using Signature Bank as one of their on-ramp and off-ramps for cash flow. Basically, when somebody's trying to get into an exchange, get money into an exchange from their banks so that they can trade and invest, and of course off as well. And so now Signature Bank is closed, Silvergate is closed. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, look at this. Do you realize that Luna, Celsius, BlockFi, Voyager, Digital, FTX, rising inflation, recession, now SVB, and Signature Bank? And this is a great point right here. And Bitcoin is still trading above $21,000. So I have not even looked. Look at this. We are running, baby. We are. Let's just go ahead. Hit that like button if you have not yet. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, ding that bell. Bitcoin is pushing up to $23,500 right now. I'm gonna go ahead and refresh this just in case this is wrong. Since I did just land, I just want to make sure that all is good there. Okay, so what we want to watch out for, we're gonna be going over some charts today and talking about everything going on. But we need to take care. We need to make sure that I'm gonna silence and mute all this. We need to make sure that we're not just buying into the hype because there's a lot of shorts that were set up all through in here, and this is very well could be a basically short squeeze that's getting us all the way up here. We want to make sure that this is a healthy move. We want to really look at this carefully because there's going to be chop. There's going to be a lot of chop going on here. But before we dive into this, go ahead and throw in the comments. Let me know let me know in the comments some of the coins you want to look at. And shout out again also to Mr. Bill Noble, who we had on Friday. We spoke after the show, and he did indicate he really enjoyed being here. We noticed that all the audience, the viewers, were really enjoying a lot of his contribution to the space and to the conversation. So we will be having him back on a very regular basis. So shout out to Bill for coming on. But we're going to be talking about a lot of this, a lot of different charts today, and how we can navigate this in a healthy way. But I want to continue going through some of the news from this weekend, because it was crazy. You know, we see here the seesaw of FUD, failure, and positivity. U.S. says Signature Bank closed by state authority. U.S. says SVB depositors will have access to all the money. And it's this right here. It's this sort of statement right here, as well as them also saying with Signature Bank coming up here on the screen. We can see that essentially there's this literally like this absolute positive negative FUD and relief campaign going on right now. And it's not just in crypto, it's within the broader financial system as a whole, because there's this battle to figure out what we are doing about inflation. There's this battle to figure out what we're doing about this debt ceiling that's completely out of control. There's a battle to figure out, you know, especially how crypto fits in the ecosystem. The U.S. government and other world governments, they're having a hard time understanding how they can utilize blockchain and crypto, with especially the central bank, without having their power and authority stripped away from them. And we don't necessarily want all power and authority stripped away from government, because we do need order in some capacity, but we do need to have equitable understanding of what power and order is. We need to have, especially in the U.S. here, it's supposed to be a democratically elected sort of government. And I don't want to make this a political show, because that's not what this is about. But when we're talking about what's happening within the financial system, when we're talking about what's happening with the massive revolution that is blockchain and Bitcoin, there's a lot that goes into this, more than us all knowing how durable and how amazing Bitcoin as a technology is in the underlying blockchain. But we have to navigate this carefully. Being the very early adopters that we are, we need to ensure that we are protecting our capital or having a very long-term time horizon, because I do believe Bitcoin will get to that point where it's $1 million a coin. Do I believe it's going to happen this cycle? Absolutely not. Do I think it's going to happen in the next 8 years? Potentially. I think really what we need to do is we need to keep our sights on right now. We need to keep our sights on what's happening in this cycle and this accumulation sort of zone, because there's still a lot of uncertainty with what's going on in markets, and there's still a lot of opportunity. There's still a lot of opportunity to be made if you navigate it correctly, but there's also a lot of opportunity to be stolen from you if you navigate it with emotion. And we want to make sure that we're using strategy here rather than navigating this with emotion. So hit that like button if you agree with me there, because the goal here is to, I don't want to say be like a robot in the space, but we want to trade agnostically to our emotions. We want to look to the data, what the data is suggesting about what's happening within the markets, so that we can do this in a healthy way. So continuing on here, there's just so much. This is a great one as well. So all this going on in the markets, and we see that essentially what we've done is retest this previous all-time high. It broke a little bit below it, of course, but this isn't the worst thing in the world, because this also had to do with where the FTX collapse was, which was a bit of, I don't even want to call it a black swan, but it was a bit of a crypto ecosystem catastrophe that it's amazing that Bitcoin has held the levels that it has been holding with all of the meltdown that we had in all of 2022. So let's go ahead and look a little bit further. We're going to actually go to this chart here. I'm going to actually mute my screen just for a second so I can log in on here so we can see this a little bit more clearly. Here we go. Alrighty. So what I want you to notice here with this chart. So this chart, the Bitcoin trend fib opportunity zones, this kind of gives us a good example of where we're at within the cycle. And we can see in previous cycles, essentially we have these generational buys, which is this bright green. I'll zoom in a bit closer so you can see this. This generational buy, which is basically the bright green one all the way on the bottom. Then we have essentially the next one up, which is the bear exhaustion buy opportunity zone. This is essentially where we've hit in the 2018 into 2019 bear cycle when we, all the bears finally, all the short-term holders finally capitulated and we sort of got into that zone. And these bands, I want you to I just want to point out these bands, it doesn't mean you have to hit the band exactly. This is supposed to be the zone, the regional areas about where we're at in relationship to the realized price. So we can also see if we turn all this off, if we turn off overheated, extreme hype rejection, bull control, bull floor band, and we look at just, let's see, turn off, yeah. So look at this. So here's a capitulation zone right here, this band right here. And we see this was the floor for all of 2018 into the final capitulation crash. So similarly, this is also the hope zone when you're coming up from a bear market, when you're starting to push up, you broke it past that zone. Now, where we can see where we're at right now, if we kind of turn off, let's see, generational buy, bear exhaustion zone, and capitulation hype zone, we could see this is very interesting. We're seeing the long-term holder realized price, which in the BitLab Academy, there's a brand new full on-chain data analysis course, analytics course, and it talks about all these. And the reason why I think this is so important when we're talking about price action, when we're talking about what's going on within the markets, when we're not just using technical analysis, for instance, meaning using just price action on charts like this, when we're actually looking at this on-chain data, the reason I find this so important is not because it gives any buy or sell signals. This is not what this does. This on-chain data provides you a look at the different types of behavior of different types of market participants so that you can understand when and where people are making moves and when and where you are in a market cycle to understand good accumulation, meaning buy zones for preparation for a strong bullish push, to take advantage of those profits on the way up, getting those good buy zones, which in this case you could see is what am I trying to say here? This basically this accumulation zone, which is the long-term holder realized price. Once price breaks down below that, we can see that this is proven to be an excellent zone. This is the same right here, excellent zone for accumulation. Now, similarly with the short-term holder realized price, which is what this STHRP is, this provides great trend analysis as to, are you generally in a bullish trend or generally in a bearish trend? And we can see with this purple pinkish basically band here, once we broke below it, this was resistance all the way down until we broke above it and it became support all the way to the upsides. Now, taking that to where we're at right now, because that's what everybody's interested in, what's happening right now. We can see, look at this. We're getting sort of a combination, a convergence of the long-term holder realized price, the short-term holder realized price, and the realized price, which is basically an aggregate of those two together. We had this crossing point right here, which is exactly where the FTX collapse happened. And then right here, we have broken above. What is this line? What did I say it was? Short-term holder realized price. The trend signal line gives you a good example of whether you are in a bullish trend or a bearish trend. See, as we broke below it, it was resistance, resistance, resistance. Now we've broken above it. Now this is a key interest to me right here. We broke above it and we came down and got our first test specifically of this line right here. So what we want to do is take a combination of looking at something like this, looking at this on-chain metric. We can also even see, let's see, bear exhaustion So we tapped it. We got down here to this bear exhaustion buy zone, which only took place after we had the FTX collapse. Okay. And then we had the accumulation chop zone, and then we had the final push to the upside. Now, what we want to do is we want to kind of look to see if there's any change in behavior. Okay. Now, if anybody's wondering, the reason why I'm not just going over all the different news stories about Signature, about SVP, all the banking stuff is because there are plenty of channels that do that. BitBoy does a great job of doing that. Scott Melker, Investor Bros. There's so many different channels that just break down the news. What I'm trying to do here is to provide you the data tools that throughout all this news, how can you look to the data to understand and sort of capture what an edge in what's going on, so you can see how the news that you are learning about on all these other channels and through your own due diligence, how you can navigate this using the data in combination with all those news stories. So we want to look at the behavior of the different address sizes. So we can see here, addresses with balances of 0.01. Okay, we can sort of zoom in here. We're going to do this on a bunch of these. Okay, this has been steadily on the rise. Now this, this very, very small addresses here are not typically related to the super smart money side of things, but it does show you that people are coming in and adopting Bitcoin. They're getting in here. We want to see, as we go down this list, as we go into larger and larger wallets, is there a divergence between these very smaller wallets that aren't as financially accultured to these large wallets, which we can classify more in the institutional and smart money side of things? We can see 0.1. Okay, this had a large push up right in this FTX collapse accumulation zone right here. It's starting to flatten out a bit. We go into addresses with larger than 1. Similar thing, large accumulation right in that FTX debacle. Addresses with more than 10. Okay, we can see, let's go ahead and zoom in here just a little bit. Okay, this has been, addresses with 10 or more, this has just been a steady incline. Look at this, through the downtrend of 2022, from basically starting about February of 2020, there's a lot of 20s in there, February 2022, all the way through this collapse where, look at this went parabolic here. A lot of accumulation, people making some very long-term plays and good decisions in this accumulation zone. Now we go to the addresses with more than 100. Okay, now we're getting a little bit of a divergence, a little bit of a change here. There was a huge, I don't want to call it a huge, there was a big increase in the number of addresses with more than 100 Bitcoin right here in the middle of this this sort of accumulation zone following the FTX collapse. However, we see that there's a little bit of profit taking, a little bit of reduction of the number of addresses. We can see this. We can see that there's a little bit of a reduction in the number of addresses with more than 100 Bitcoin. So this gives us an indication that people, these people that have 100 Bitcoin, think about how much that is. That's quite a bit of money as compared to the average Joe. So there is a little bit of hesitation as we're getting into these larger wallets. Now, I don't have it in my favorites, but I'm going to go over here to addresses. This one should be in my favorites. I don't know why it's not. So let's go. Okay, now, so addresses with over 1,000 Bitcoin, we could see here, we zoom in here. Okay, now go all the way over. Work with me, baby. Work with me, baby. All right, so now we see here addresses with over 1,000. This has been diminishing over time. So whereas we have addresses with over 100, we come back into here, we see that there is a sharp increase here. But as we get into these larger addresses, we can see that there's been quite a bit. The interest hasn't come into when we're getting to that larger sort of base of smart money and institutional sort of wallets. And we can see this similarly also with the addresses with more than 10,000. However, there's a bit of a deviation here. And we'll see this as this loads. Okay, so now, and I've brought this up on stream before, but as you can see, this was a great forecast as to where the top of this last bull market cycle was, because they were offloading as soon as we got to essentially the previous all-time highs, 19,000, just under $20,000, and they started taking profits. This is them reducing supply into the strength of this bull market. So they are offloading to retail hype buyers. We do not want to be hype buyers. We want to buy the fear and sell the hype greed. It's important for you to manage your money in the best way possible for you. Every time there's a buyer, that means there's somebody else that's selling. If you're buying at the top, then you're giving profits to somebody that bought lower than you are. If you are selling at the bottom, then you are giving somebody the opportunity to have profits in the bull, once the price starts going up. So you have to start looking at the behavior of these different types of cohorts of investor within the space, so that you can understand how you can utilize the same sort of behavior patterns to set yourself up so you can be one of these people that has more than 10 Bitcoin or more than 100 or more than 1,000 or more than 10,000. There's not going to be very many people with more than 10,000. I mean, we can see right here, there's about 120,000. But what we can see right now, 120 total. But we can see right here when we zoom in, steep increase before the FTX collapse. And then as FTX collapsed, buying the fear. Buying the fear. If you are selling because you are capitulating, because you have the money that you're expecting to double because it was going to help you pay rent, then you're not managing your portfolio correctly. You're not managing your trading strategy correctly. When there's fear like this, have dry powder on the side so you can take advantage of it. And as we can see right here, there's a little bit of offloading here, but this is essentially just sideways accumulation. Now, when we get into the fear and greed index, we could see that this is essentially a different look at the fear and greed index than most people see. It's just more of an oscillator that gives you the bands when you're very, very, very fearful and very greedy. And we could see that there's the market is just whipsawing back and forth. Let me make sure I just got a, okay. I have limited screen space here, so I was just making sure that a message from Discord for one of the mods. We could see, look how fast. This is let me zoom it back out so you can actually see it a bit better. This is very fearful. And we're seeing people down here, the fear sort of gauge is around 20. And we see as soon as the market starts going up, greed comes in. And this is also where I've shown you where the long-term holders were taking profit here, where the retail was buying here. And this is also where you see the greed spike, or at least the hopium in the space just goes to the moon. And then all of a sudden, this weekend, we have this huge dip, and then the next day, coming right back up. I mean, look at how fast this the sentiment in this space. If this doesn't work for me, come on, baby, you can work. Look at how fast this is oscillating back and forth. This is not a healthy state of the market. We want to have basically. We want to have healthy buyers come in. We want the short-term holders to be exhausted from selling. We want to have healthy movement to the upside. Now, what we can look at here, we can look at the NUPL, the net unrealized profit and loss, and we can see similarly. Now, this is probably going to be a day or two delayed. Let me see. It goes all the way to the 12th. We're seeing this sort of retesting down. So that there are some good things happening in the space. But there's so much uncertainty as to what's going on within the markets. And this is what I was talking about before with the short-term holders. I do not like how this bottom slider works. The long-term holders were taking profit. This red is reducing supply into this. So this was giving a lot of weakness. So what we really want to see is we want to see the long-term holders. We want to see this start increasing. We want to see it start increasing as we see here. basically setting up a lot of long-term holders for the strength coming into setting up for a bullish push. Now, I don't think we need to look at any more on-chain charts. Let's go ahead and look at the Bitcoin chart, see where we're at. And before we do that, I do want to also just say thank you for everybody to be here on a day like today. I got allergies, so I apologize. I'm wiping my nose. On a day like today, where we've had such a crazy weekend, you know, if we come down here on the 1 hour, I mean, look, this is just crazy. You know, Thursday drop into, I mean, this basically very ugly looking BART pattern, but I just appreciate all of you that are here trying to understand how to navigate the space. And even if you already know how to understand it, you being here and being a part of this community is incredible for the space. It's incredible for the growth of the space as we all learn and grow together. So if you haven't yet, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, ding that bell, join this community. We still have over about 50% of the people that tune in on a daily basis have not subscribed. What are you doing? Putting all this information out to you for free. So shout out to everybody. Now, I got to go back to my OBS. Okay, now let's go ahead and do a bunch of charts here. Throw in the chat. Let me know some of the charts you're looking at. Do you see any setups anywhere? Maybe I haven't seen them. I've been traveling. Let me know. It's your time to spam the chat. Throw in a couple of the altcoins that you're interested in. We're going to try and go through quite a bit today, but we're going to look at Bitcoin, of course, first. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Okay, so we're looking at this just on a very simple nature. We all know, remember, I always talk about looking at the macro, midterm, micro. So you are looking at the macro. This is a weekly. We understand we are still in a downtrend. And what I want you to notice here is, do you notice this? Not only yellow line here, this is a moving average, and the red line, this is the 50 and the 200, I believe. Sometimes I change them. Yeah, this is the 50 and the 200. And look at this, looking at nothing else, looking at not even paying attention to price levels of support and resistance, only looking at these moving averages. Does it make sense now why we're having quite a bit of volatility at these levels? Quite a bit of resistance? We have two major macro moving averages that are essentially just not a glass ceiling. This is like a brick ceiling with cement on top of it that we've got to keep chipping away at and really find that weak point and really get through this. So this is not the end of the world that we've had this strong bullish push and then had a pause here. If anything, having this pause, I have to cough here. If anything, having this pause here is something healthy that we need so that when the price action does consolidate here and we get this pullback, look at this wick pullback, and look how beautiful, for people that study price action and candle analysis, this is a beautiful candle right here. This push up, we see the reduction in momentum as the candles are getting smaller. So each time you see this, the bullish candles getting larger, this is an increase in momentum to the upside. And as we see these candles get smaller and smaller, this is a reduction in momentum. We start getting this rounding top here. This rolls over, tries another attempt, both getting rejected off these moving averages. Now, what we can see here is very interesting. We have the 50-week moving average. Of course, we have this death cross here, but we have the 50-week moving average coming down here. And on the weekly, we're starting to push above this 50-week. So that's a start. But what the point about this candle is right here, and I'm going to zoom in on this candle. What this candle is a hammer candle. It basically looks like a hammer. You get it at the bottom of a move like this, where we're getting essentially we see kind of an oblong spinning top here. Not quite, because the candle body is a little too large. But this is a reversal candle, and the reason we know that is because we can see essentially it's a neutral candle, because we can see the bulls tried to push as high up as this wick is to the upside, and the bears tried to push this as far down as this wick is to the downside, and we had an equal battle. So if we're having momentum to the upside and now there's an equal battle, this doesn't give hope for the bulls to continue pushing to the upside. So then they start taking profits, they start setting their shorts, and then we get this increase to the downside. And what we see here is the bears really making an attempt to push it to the downside. And then the bulls eating this back up. And the bulls say, not, I was about to get sassy on you all. Not today, sister. No, but we see the bears really making this attempt to the downside, with the bulls eating this all the way back up, showing that there's this bearish momentum really had a chance had this candle closed all the way down here. That would have been a very, very bad bearish momentum candle. But the bulls having eaten this candle back up, and now we're getting also a bullish engulfing candle, because this is fully engulfed this, and we're pushing above the 50. So now we're going to go into some smaller time frames and look at what's going on a little bit, get a little bit better idea about what's happening here. So let's go into the 4 hour. Man, that looks good. So we've got to pay attention to what's happening with the momentum, with the health of the different indicators, the RSI, stochastics, MACD, all these things that give us a good indication of what the pressures are supporting or denying the health of this move. Now, looking here on the 4 hour, we've gotten above we basically pushed all the way back through this EMA ribbon. This is more of actually just it's not quite an EMA ribbon, but it's it's the 4 MA that has I think the 21, 50, 100, 200. We're pushed all the way back above it, which is a good sign, but we want to see where the health is at on this, because we see the RSI is already pushed all the way back up here into the 74 area. The stochastics are all the way up here at 94. MACD is still looking healthy, but is it going to roll over? So we're going to go over here and pull up the BitLab trading stack and get a clearer view as to what this looks like, because for those of you that don't know, the significant movement gives us a combination, a sort of aggregate view on a bunch of the momentum oscillators, stochastics, MACD, momentum. There's quite a few that are involved with this. And when you having a consensus between the majority of those that are all showing overheated, overbought, you start to get this red flash, especially when it's above this moving average line that we see here. This doesn't necessarily mean the move is going to end immediately. It's just suggesting that the strength is really in that very, very overheated, some people would say, but in a very strong bullish push. It could also just show that there's just incredible strength there. So we need to look to our other indicators. And in this case, we can see that there are quite a few bearish divergences that have formed here with the RSI, the momentum, on balance volume, and also the external, which is this separate read on the hidden volume here. Now pulling up the relative extrema, this is interesting. This was sticking out, showing that the bullish upward movement was a little overheated. However, it's kind of caught back up. And the reason I say that is when these extrema bars are outside of the cloud, or on the opposite side in this case, or even here outside of the cloud, it's showing that volatility, the movement is too fast in relationship to a healthy move. Now, this is where those were sticking, basically showing this move was likely getting exhausted, but this didn't agree with this neutral zone we see here on the significant movement. We had no bullish or bearish divs on the hidden volume, but we can see here now, as we're getting a much stronger push, this is well within the cloud. So this is a very, very interesting setup. So what we need to do is we need to look at not only our hold on. I'm having trouble with the smaller screens that I'm on today. We need to look to our price levels and kind of see what's going on here. So price has broken through a lot of this volume that we're seeing here on the VPVR. Now we're going to actually come out to the 8 hours so we can get a better view on the VPVR. Turn off the market intelligence. Now this is interesting. So now we see. Look at this retest. this retest of this massive downtrend resistance that we had that played out all the way since when was it? November 2021. And we've gotten this retest. And what did I say all week last week? This was the zone I was looking for. This golden zone right here. This golden zone not only cleared that, we can actually show you, not only cleared the, what am I talking about? The golden pocket. No, not the CME gap. That's what I'm talking about. Totals. Here we go. The CME's futures. Look at this. Perfectly cleared the CME gap that we had right here. Now we do have another gap right here that we very likely may need to fill. And what do I mean by a gap? Look at where this closed and look at this gap right here. But in terms of what we're talking about for this current price action, we came down. We retested this level of previous resistance. We flipped it to support, retested this, closed that CME gap. And also, this is, if we redraw this, we saw that if we take our option F or Alt F, if you're on a PC, we go to this zone. This is not only closing the CME gap, but this was the buy zone for anybody that had any sort of bullish leaning and really wanted to take advantage. Was this golden pocket that was also perfectly in line with that CME gap, which is also perfectly in line with all this price action, this volume nodes, as well as retesting this zone right here. So this was an excellent, anybody shout out, anybody in chat, if you took advantage of this and if you bought this dip and took advantage, and whether you've taken profit or not, if you took advantage of this, let us know in chat if you're able to identify those zones, whether it was from this show or from your own TA. I hope it was from your own TA. Try to teach you all this so you all can do this on yourselves as well. But what I'm really liking about this is the fact that we have broken down from this, retested, and we're back in this sort of trading zone here, which arguably could be a broadening channel or a parallel channel, depending on sort of how it's drawn. But either way, we are back in this zone. The question is, how high will we go? This is a very volatile move. And at these stages in the market, this can be something that really shakes people out. And again, I'm going to bring it up. What's up, brother? Again, I'm going to bring it up. And it's this one right here. When we are at these levels of accumulation, the market does absolutely everything that it can to shake people out of what's happening. And we're still debating. There's still an argument to be made. Are we here doing a chop here to get rejected to drop lower, which is what some analysts out there think? We still have this likelihood to go down to that 8K, 9K, 12K, anywhere in those sorts of regions. Are you in that sort of camp, or are you in the camp that we're already in this accumulation zone and this sort of retest, as we see right here? This retest right here that we just outlined, is this what we're seeing right here? Now, when we pull up the market intelligence, let's actually look at the 3-day chart, just so we can see kind of what's going on the 3-day chart. Come on, VPVR. Okay, so we have this this market is ripping right now. This is coming, man, this is just incredible, because we have a great neutral zone here on the 3-day. Of course, this was a huge switch of momentum from the downside to the upside. But people were waiting for that CME gap to be filled. People were waiting for this golden pocket to be touched. The question is going to be, where does this potentially pause, and where is there a good take profit levels? Well, I can tell you right now, just looking at previous price action with this level right here, this price action level that is really the gateway, this 25,150 to 25,250. I'm calling it a little bit more conservatively, about 25,300. But if we get rejected at this zone again, then, you know, we could be looking at a Wyckoff pattern. Wyckoff pattern. Let's see. Boom. We could be looking at a Wyckoff pattern where we have this, and there's two different versions of this. There's this one, and then there's, let's do 1 and 2. Okay, let's see. So we could potentially, and there is an argument to be made that we have essentially, you know, hit the 25,000, you know, pull back, you hit the 25,000 again and get a lower low. And what I mean by that is a lower low as compared to this right here, as compared to 15,500 area, which is our current low. You know, having this rejected and having essentially this spring, which would be if we break down below that 15,500 and we get that air, you know, get that levels down to, you know, somewhere between 12 to 14K, or this is, I'm only presenting possibilities here because as an analyst, you need to be prepared for both sides of what can happen. The other opportunity is this, this right here, where we're having that retest. We have the test of the 25,000. We push back up, you know, getting that 25,000, have the pullback. This would be that LPS right here, that phase C, and then retesting just at about the 25,000 and pushing up to even potentially, you know, that this rocket up to maybe even 30,000 accumulation and then launch. These are things we need to pay attention to when we're looking at this. Now, this is just, I'm just so proud. I'm just so proud of Bitcoin right now because and I hope it's not, I hope this isn't just hype. My bullish heart wants this to be something that just runs and runs and runs, because this is what Bitcoin was made for. Poor fiscal policy, banks just absolutely just taking advantage of their consumers, of their customers. And I mean, 2008 to today, what's changed? Banks do the worst things in the world, and, you know, they get a slap on the wrist. They take massive risks with our money. When you deposit money into a bank, I don't know if you know this, but it is no longer your money. They own the money that you put in the bank. Once you deposit money into a bank, they own that money. And you basically have an IOU. They basically have an IOU that you can basically take it out at their discretion. That's why blockchain and Bitcoin are so powerful, because this turns that on its head. And this is why the banking industry, central banks and government don't want, they're very reluctant to really just let the gates open and let blockchain and Bitcoin really run free and have these on-ramps be, you know, basically supported, and regulation that supports it, because they're trying to figure out how they can get their claws in this so that they can continue to have control over you. So I don't want to go off on a rant here, but we need to do some TA on a couple other projects here. Let's look at Ethereum. We're going to come over here. Boom. Let's, okay. Well, man, the graph is looking good too. Woo-wee. Yeah, this is on the 4 hour, but we're going to kind of go down the list here. We're going to do Ethereum. I don't know. Let me look over at, I need to look at Discord to see if I got any lists from anybody. I don't know. Is this today? Okay. Algo, Filecoin, Singularity, and ADA. Okay. I will definitely do those. I'm first going to do Ethereum. Ethereum's looking, man, let's go on the daily. I don't know what all this text is. Okay. Okay. All righty. So we could see here, okay, we've got a similar level just above us, just like we did on Bitcoin. This kind of goes all the way back to there, option J. Now we want to make sure We don't want to just be bullish hopium. We don't want to be just bullish moon boys, okay? Moon boys or moon girls. It could be either or in here. We want to make sure, I'm going to delete some of these fibs. Okay, now we're pushing all the way through this this 4-band moving average. Now, when we turn on the BitLab Market Intelligence, see there's warning signs. There's warning signs as to a pause coming. And this doesn't mean a full rejection, but we have 5 bearish divergences on Ethereum right here. We can see that we have a bearish MACD histogram, which is basically a different look at just using the actual MACD line and trigger line. It's actually the histogram. I just prefer that. The bearish RSI, bearish stochastics, bearish relative extrema, bearish momentum, all coming in, and this is to be expected, all coming into a level at which there's previous price action rejections right here. Now, we can see the relative extrema is sticking way outside of the zone here. So unless we break through this, just with momentum just pouring in, I would expect a little bit of a pause here. And so what do we do? And here's another one of those candlesticks I was talking about earlier. Let's go ahead and minimize this. Mute this as well. This was that hammer candle right here. Now, this hammer candle sometimes can be, some people call it a hanging man, but this would be a hanging man if it was at the top for instance, I don't see one here, but if it was at the top of something like this and you have the little body with the long wick, that's a hanging man when it's at the top. When it's at the bottom, this is a hammer candle. And we could see that this reversal was beautiful, right in line with what happened with Bitcoin. So what we can do is we can do Option F or Alt F if you're on PC. We're going to come up here to the top, and we can see that there is a zone right here. If this does pull back, I'm hoping, I'm wanting to lean more bullishly, but it all depends on a lot of the news of what happens with the Fed today and tomorrow. With some of the CPI and news numbers that are coming out, and employment data, but a healthy pullback from here actually would be what I'd prefer to see, is rather than coming all the way back to this golden pocket, is having price action sort of come up to this level here. And we're on the daily. Let's go down to the 4-hour. Having price action come up to this level here and then sort of get a little bit of a rejection down and continue up from here. This is what I would like to see. Will we see it? It's all going to depend on what happens with Jerome Powell, the Fed, the CPI numbers, all this stuff that's coming in the next few days. And so we can look at this by going to forexfactory.com/calendar, and we can see today's Monday the 13th. Thank God it's not Friday the 13th. We can see tomorrow we have small business index data. We have the CPI. This is going to be the key thing tomorrow. If we have the Fed starting to print some money or starting to do some bank saviors, basically taking care of depositors and making sure not only depositors, and this is very important to know, not just depositors getting their money back, but also the businesses that are involved with SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, and also Signature Bank, because you have to remember the FDIC insurance covers individuals up to $250,000. So all these venture capital funds and all the, let me see if I can find this tweet that I did. And this is a retweet of Jane Addams. I'm going to need to go to my page. This is how many different banks are involved with, we're coming right here. This is how many different banks are involved with SVB. And let me see if I can find it. Right here, look at this. 23andMe, Acorns, Affirm, Airbnb, App Dynamics, Asana, Blue Apron, Coinbase, Couchbase. I don't even know what Couchbase is. DocuSign, DoorDash, Dropbox, Eventbrite, Fitbit, Glassdoor. I mean, the list goes on and on. LinkedIn, NVIDIA, Palantir, Peloton, Pinterest, Plaid, Robinhood, Roku. I mean, this, and the reason why this is such an impact on the crypto ecosystem is because this is tying in with big tech of what's happening, the financing of what's happening within the tech industry of the U.S. And so if there's not a consideration for beyond just the individuals, and I did see some speculation that there was they were going to make depositors whole, both on the individual and a lot of the at least a bit of the what do you want to call it, the businesses that are involved. I mean, this would be basically a national security threat if we have our entire tech industry go kaput. And make no mistake, Bitcoin is very heavily tied to the tech industry. So if the tech industry starts plummeting, Bitcoin very likely will have a very risk-off sort of appetite, having huge drops in price. Shout out to Elo Brown. Thank you for the super chat. I'm so not used to seeing super chats because we just very recently monetized the channel. So shout out to you, Elo Brown. I always see you supporting here and on Twitter and all the spaces I'm on. So I really appreciate you. You're proud of me like I'm proud of Bitcoin. I'm proud of all of you for being here. Big love to everybody. Really, shout out to everybody that's here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, ding that bell. Let's see, are we over 5,000 yet? Let's see. I don't even know where that screen is. I have too many screens over. I'll have to look in a bit. We can actually look right here. Boom. Let's see. Oh, we're right at it. 4,960. We only need 40 more people. If you're in here and you're not subscribed, subscribe to BitLab Academy. And if you're watching over at Hit Network, shout out to all you over there at Hit Network. Make sure you come and check us out over here at youtube.com/BitLab Academy. Check us out. We got a lot of great stuff here. Not only live content about what's happening each day, but also breaking down useful tools about how to navigate the market, different tools, a trading view guide, really quick tools and tips on how to use quick key access. So you're not always having to use toolbar stuff on trading view. This walks you through really good setups on how to use the BitLab trading stack indicator, how to find the next crypto gem. Come and check out BitLab Academy if you have not yet, if you're watching somewhere else. But we got to continue the show. We got a bunch of coins that we want to go over. So Ethereum, I'm seeing we're coming right into a key level. We are looking a little overheated, as we can see down here on the significant movement. This is within the cloud though. So I would expect a little bit of hesitation pushing into tomorrow's data coming from the CPI numbers, that are going to have a huge impact on what the Jerome Powell and the Fed choose to do for the interest rate hikes that will be later this in a few weeks. But that's going to have a huge impact on what happens within the markets. So this is an amazing push that we've seen on Ethereum and on Bitcoin. I would expect to have some hesitation here. Also, some people probably taking profits to protect themselves, which you'll see a little bit, in the chart as we get to these levels. Now, if we do break through this, I just want to urge caution and have your stop losses in place. Trailing stop losses are great if you have them on the exchanges that you're using. Now, if we break down from here, I don't want to say break down. If we have a pullback from here, I would expect price action to pull back. Right now we're pushing right at 1,700. I just feels so great. I would expect to pull back somewhere probably in the 1578 to 1,600, basically down to this level. If there's bad news that comes out, then definitely have some targets down here in the golden pocket zone at the 1487 to 1500. Again, none of this is financial advice. This is showing you the strategies on how you map these things out. Now we got to run through these. We're going to go to Algo. Let's go over here. We're going to minimize this. I think I already have Algorand. No, I don't. So go ahead and pull Algo up. Okay, boom. If you have multi-screens like this, everybody, you can go in and out of these very easily by just pressing on Mac, pressing Option and clicking on that screen. It immediately makes it full screen. So we're going to go to, we're going to minimize this. So, okay, so this is not, I think it's on this chart right here. I already had a bunch of TA on it on one of these. Yeah, here we go. So, okay, so we need to go to the 8 hour. We're going to look at this. We had this trend line that, let's see, let's extend this out. We had this trend line, rejection, rejection, rejection. Price action is pushing up against this level. Not only is this a trend line that was coming down all the way back here from February 20th, this is also previous support here. See right here, we have support where this is bouncing off this level, and now we're coming right into a level where we are breaking through this trend line. However, we're also at this level of previous support. So if we do break through this level, I would expect a pretty large move to the upside from the suppression that we've seen as this downtrend that we're fighting in this zone. So this is looking at the 8 hour. The extrema is really pushing through right here. So that this is giving me a little bit of hesitation. Let's come down to the 2 hour. We can come here just like this, and we can see that this is looking overheated on the significant movement. We do have two bearish divergences right here. So if this were to break down, let's go ahead and just do a fib right here. And this would make sense. If this were to get rejected here with this small little fake out pushing up above this, coming down to this 19 cents, 19.35, which is not that big of a drop. It's, let's see, shift. Sometimes, you know why? Shift doesn't work when you have the fib open. So that would be, yeah, I mean, that's a 7% drop if that were to come back here. And that would be, this is all going to be contingent on what's happening with all of this news that's coming in and out of the market right now, with what's happening with the banks, with what's happening with Biden saying the banks are safe. Well, there's a lot of other things he said were safe that turned out not to be either. So we need to have our risk management and our strategy in place so we can navigate this healthily. I'm very hopeful with a lot of these projects. However, we need to look at these downside options. If this were to break to the upside, what we could do here is we could take this here. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do it from here, option F. Come to the bottom side right there. So we're going to delete this. So we're pushing right in. Look at this. We're pushing right into this golden pocket as well. We're looking at the charts now. We're looking right at the charts now, seeing that I basically did a fib from this level right here all the way down to the bottom. This is a golden pocket, as well as this previous price action we talked about, as well as just breaking through this level. And we have this overheated zone right here on the significant movement. This is on the 2 hour. We're having two bearish divergences. If this were to push up, we could be looking at a target up here at around 23 cents. And if we do get strong bullish movement throughout the entire sort of space, and not just money pouring into Bitcoin, or liquidity pouring into Bitcoin, I could see this also, if this were to have, a clear break of this level, coming up here all the way up to this 26 cents level, which is a 1.618 of this move to the upside. Now we got to do AJAX. There we go. Okay, so looks like we're pushing through the EMA ribbon here. This is on the 2 hour. Let's go to the 4 hour. Okay, now this is looking kind of like an oblong. Option T gives us a kind of like a ugly, very, very ugly inverse head and shoulders. So I'm not even going to look at that way. But this very well could be a inverse head and shoulders this way. Now, if this were to be the case, this would be kind of fireworks, because this is how you would measure it. Come up to this, and this would be a target. This is at 39 cents. This would be a target up here at the 51 cents area, 50 cents. Now, that would be a fairly large move. And we can see that if we want to take from this level right here, pull this down, we do have to contend. We're just now breaking through the 0.5. We need to contend with the golden pocket, which is right at about 41 cents. And so we need to see the price interaction at these levels. But being that we had this sort of bull flag right here and we're breaking out, I can also see just a more conservative target from that, which wouldn't be that much more conservative. But right here about the 46 cents level, which kind of lines up with this sort of price action level. So either way, to the upside, I'm looking at somewhere between 46 cents to 51 cents. But again, we have to do this with consideration about what is happening with the CPI data tomorrow. If inflation comes in that things are much higher again, then we're very likely going to have that flip flop on the basically on the CME Fed Watch tool, as we can see right here. Basically, it's flip-flopping back and forth between if people think we're going to get the 25 basis point or 50 basis point. And this is all contingent on what's happening, not only with all the banks and all the stuff we're seeing in the news about that, but also with what happens with that CPI data as it comes out. Now, we have one more that we had to do. I think it was Filecoin. So let's go ahead and look at Filecoin. Okay, so we're going to do a line right here, option J. This is this price action level high. Now, we did break through this region right here. We've got a lot of price interactivity, but now we want to do a fib, option F from this local zone, pull this all the way to the bottom. And we can see that this is fighting, look at this, right here at where the golden pocket is. So with this being said, if this were to break down, we could do option F. I would be looking at a pullback, which this is perfectly in line with this previous price action top right here before this broke down. This would be a pullback down to the $5.50 level if this does pull back down into it. If we do rocket off from here, again, this is all contingent on what goes on tomorrow. I can also see this sort of trend line going right here. Which we are breaking out of and somewhat retesting. Man, this is all eyes on tomorrow. That's all I've got to say. We've got opportunities to the upside and the downside, of course, as we always do, but we need to plan both those opportunities, the upside and the downside. I'm going to delete this fib. We're going to see if this does rocket to the upside. I'm looking at a pause up here about $7.60. If we can break through that, then the next target would be up here about $9.20. $8.80 to $9.20. So I do more conservatively right about right there. So that's all I got for you today. Big love to everybody. I need to sit down for a little bit because I came running off the airport to do this stream with you all. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Join our community. Big love to everybody in here. I really appreciate everybody being a part of this community. Before we go, let's go ahead and look. Last look, we got to see where Bitcoin is at. It's just giving me oh man, it is looking good. So hit the like button if you are feeling it. Big love to everybody. I appreciate you all. I will see you very soon. Adios, everybody. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here again. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here again.